I bought this dress 3 years ago, and it's been one of my favorite pieces ever. All right, ever. I wore it everywhere. Okay, just everywhere. Just take my word for it. But now it's gotten a bit too tight, so I'm gonna flip it into a skirt. This is how the bodice looks, and it's pretty cute. Has 3 little cover buttons in front and some straps and stuff. But I'm gonna start. I'm sorry. This is the side slit. Okay, this is the slit that was in the front, and we're gonna fix that up later. So I start by ripping the zipper out with a regular seam ripper, and then I move on to just cutting the pieces off, like the top bodice piece. I cut that off the zipper, and I leave the zipper like intact so I can recycle and use it again later. But this is what we have: 2 pieces now and a very long zipper. So pockets. To add some pockets, I just trace out a pocket shape that's a little bit bigger than my hand on paper, and then I start to just cut that piece out. This is what we're gonna use as the pattern piece for the pockets. So to figure out where you'd need the pocket to be placed, this is what I did. I kind of just put the skirt like roughly where I think I'd want it to sit, and then I kind of guesstimated like how I'd want my hand to fit into this pocket, like a comfortable like height, and that ended up being the length of my index finger. So I pinned it in place, and then I started to cut the pocket pieces out of this random blue fabric that I had. And here I'm opening up the seam of where I want a pocket to be. I'm just using a seam ripper and taking my time to break those threads and get them out of there to make an opening. So here I'm placing my pattern pieces of the pockets onto the right side of the fabric. So basically right side of the pocket to right side of the skirt. And then sew like that seam right there that would be hidden inside of the skirt. And then I take it to my machine and I sew that seam closed. After I sewed those pocket pieces together, I took it to the ironing board and ironed out that seam to make sure it's nice and flat and beautiful. And then I went back to my machine to sew the pocket bag together. I made sure to line up the seams at the top and bottom of the pocket opening and took my time and went around the curve. This part's a bit tricky at first, but all you do is pivot your machine, raise that presser foot and turn it around and just close up that seam, and that's it. Be sure to backstitch. And then I use my serger to finish the edge of that pocket bag. If you don't have a serger, just use a zigzag stitch on your machine or a zigzag scissors, and it will keep it from not fraying. And then I press the pocket opening again to make sure it just blends in really nice with the seam that's already there. So the fabric that I used got really warpy and whatever that is, and so I kind of ironed it out as well to just keep it nice and flat. And there, the pocket piece is done. So here I'm gonna tackle that slit. So using a seam ripper, I just started to break the threads and open that hem. Now that that's ripped open, I started to sew from the top where the seam was above the slit and started to just blend that into this new seam to close up the slit. And then I used my serger to finish that seam and, you know, keep it from fraying. Okay, so now for the waistband. I just measured a piece of elastic that I had and sewed the ends together closed. And then I started to loosely pin in place where I want that elastic to sit. And then I started to sew it in place, just using the longest straight stitch on my machine. And now here I am giving everything a last press all the way around the whole skirt and all the seams and stitches that I just made. I just went ahead and ironed all of that. I later ironed the waistband of the skirt as well, just to keep everything nice and flat. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and learned how to add pockets and sew up a slit and just convert an old dress into a beautiful, beautiful skirt. And please subscribe if you haven't yet, and yeah, I'll see you next time.
Oh, life in a ding dong. If I could take you up and boom, 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 tell me I'm the only